Okay, this is talking about living for Christ with everything. Listen, I was struggling, and man, I was forgiven, but I'm left wondering, for whom was I really living? The closer I get to Jesus, the more and more I see I was living for Christ. I was still living for me, but I had God in my life. Yeah, I was saved, went to church, did my thing. I saw the pastor and I waved. I even braved to sing and clap and raise my hands. I played the game with the parents cheering in the stands. I rock with bands proclaiming Christ. It's all good. The loud music resounds. I thought I understood. So should I keep on going? Should I take a break? Well, all this talk and all this rock was giving me a headache. I see this guy on fire, man, he's taking down the walls. If he gets any higher, man, I think he's gonna fall. He calls on the Lord. He doesn't just call his baby doll in school halls and shopping malls. He doesn't care at all what people think. To him it's all the same. They'd laugh till he turned pink. He wasn't going for the fame. He was on the brink. This was more than just a game. I looked and said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm not ashamed." What was his name? Just as I thought he disappeared, I cried and wept unceasingly, the Niagara of tears. For when had I stood up and put aside all of my fears? Cause out of all my excuses I had made myself a career. Now I had two choices, left or right, now which way? Confused by all the voices, time to go, what time to stay? Would I run and play, or rest cause I was sleepy? Well, I want to follow Christ and follow him completely, but still struggling. I know Jesus is forgiven, but I'm left wondering, for whom am I really living? The closer I get to Jesus, the more and more I see I'm not living for Christ, I'm still living for me. Man, I'm struggling, and Jesus is forgiven, but I'm still wondering, for whom am I really living? The closer I get to Jesus, the more and more I see I want to live for Christ. I don't want to live for me. Now listen up, because Christ is able. He was first humbled, born in a stable. He turned the tables on the Tower of Babel, and he searched harder for us than Anne of Green Gables, and made up fables to make him look like just a man just as sinful, but Jesus knew their plan. He raised his hands and spoke truth they'd understand. Iron sharpens iron, and no one is an island. The priest had banned Jesus from saying what was true, and Jesus said, listen and do what they tell you, but listen closely, do not do what they do, because they make others do all this work because they just want to. Everything they do is for others to see. They make a big deal when they pray to God Almighty. Only the best clothes do they wear publicly. And when they fast and they pray, they do it so obviously. Whitewashed tombs, you look great on the outside, the beauty we see, but what do you try to hide? Always groans, full of bones, all on the inside. Outwardly you're righteous, but inside you're full of pride. So if you think you're so great and you're so gifted, you will become the servant. The position has shifted. But if in worldly praise you have now drifted, humble yourself before God, and then you will be lifted up. And God will bless you for your humility. And God will bless and increase your ability. So don't exalt yourself so readily. Remember, even Christ had to start at the nativity scene, but man is only the skin. But God looks at hearts, and he sees the sin that we keep within, the pride, the everything. So keep me humble, Jesus, you are my only King. Jesus is my master, I want to follow him, that's my decision. Man, I used to struggle, and I know Jesus is forgiven, and I'm not left wondering, for whom am I really living? Because the closer I get to Jesus, the more and more I see I'm living for Christ, I'm not living for me. Man, I used to struggle, and Jesus was forgiven, and I used to be wondering, for whom was I really living? The closer I got to Jesus, the more and more I see I wasn't living for Christ, I was still living for me, Now let me tell you something right now. That's how I used to live. I'm not struggling. I'm not stuck in sin. I'm not a slave to sin any longer. I've been set on a rock. I've been set in a strong tower. God's given me power to overcome, because he said you're more than a conqueror. And that's where I come from. I come from a long line of conquerors. David, Samuel, Elijah, Jesus, John the Baptist, the Apostle Paul, the sons of thunder, John and James, the Peter, the rock on which Christ built his church. And because this great cloud of witnesses is watching me, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to run the race of faith with perseverance. I'm going to strip off every sin that tangles and every weight that hinders. I'm going to run this race with perseverance, with my eyes set on Christ, who ran the race before me, who for the joy set before him laid down his life, took up the cross, and died.